I know Sabrina Matias has not been active over the last couple of months, or really no news coming out about him. And I felt like that was a disservice because of him jumping in a tough fight with Liam Paro. Yeah, he needs to be back because a lot of people have problem with certain fighters getting opportunities after a loss and things like that. But when it comes to certain fighters like Nick Ball recently, he had a lot of fights where he had opportunities to bounce back and actually get another opportunity. And Sabril Matias, I think he'll be an excellent pick for the Berlanga card if they were to fight in January. It's just an idea. It's not something solid that's going on. It's just an idea I came across. But if Berlanga's gonna come back sooner or later, and if I was him, I would try to come back early. What, January? Just fought. Probably you can look at February at the latest. I think March would be too late in the game, but I think in January that'll be a good fight for him. If he can go to Puerto Rico and fight on the card with someone like Nestor Bravo or Army LeBron, and then have Sabrina Matias as the co-main event, I think that'll be an excellent fight card with Eddie Hearn having a lot of 140s, 168s at his disposal. It makes a lot of sense in my eyes. Definitely makes a lot of sense. It'll be an excellent fight card to have in Puerto Rico. I know a lot of fights been happening in Puerto Rico recently, especially with the MVP card. But if they can put that fight card together, Matias, that'll be 7 months he's been out the game. I mean, 7 months is normal for guys to take time off. 7 months. It makes a lot of sense. Now, anything longer than 7 months that he's out, or even a guy like Berlanga, he'll be out, 5 months? 4 or 5 months? I think that will be 4 or 5 months. I think he needs to get right back in the ring. He's entering his prime, if not already. And he needs to kind of be a little more active, not take too much time off, months off. Get more rounds in. If you look at Berlanga's resume and his whole career, he doesn't have a lot of rounds, man. And that's what we were trying to say. A lot of people were trying to say, like, if he would have had 30, 40 more rounds before stepping in the ring, like with Canelo, it would have been a different fight. Absolutely. Looking back now, people can agree on that. But he's still a bigger name now after the Canelo fight, so that definitely helped him acquire more fans and get his name flowing in the boxing world and a lot more active. So to use that momentum, I would expect these guys to actually put a fight card together for Puerto Rico. It wouldn't cost that much. You still have most of these guys on the zone and match room, so you can definitely make some things happen. But I know LeBron and these other guys, they can be included on the card. They're not directly involved, but that'll be an excellent card to have. I know LeBron's supposed to fight on I want to say the Boots Ennis card recently. He was supposed to fight on, and that fight got pulled for some reason. Didn't happen. So I think they can possibly take that, unless that fight is getting moved to what I'm trying to say now. But it's a possibility. But why would you not have a Berlanga card and then just throw Matias in there and get him back in the mix? That would be an excellent decision to make because we already know that Puerto Rico fans is going to show up. It's going to be live and packed. And then when you have all those names on there, it'll be a good way to for Matias to redeem himself in front of the home crowd. And then it'll also give him time to basically bounce back with a new team around him. Makes a lot of sense to me. Has a new team. You're still trying to get he'll try to get adjusted to him. You take 7 months off to get basically comfortable with those guys, and once the fight gets made and everything is lined up, it just makes a lot of sense overall. Keep Berlanga active, give Matias time to adjust, get Henri LeBron back in the ring, and get Bravo back in the ring. And those guys, so they won't be out too long. And then the earliest dates that's available is probably January. So it makes a lot of sense. February at the latest, like I said, but you don't want these guys to be out too long because then if you're fighting in February, it's almost like you're going to be fighting once every year, twice. That's what set yourself up for what, 2 fights and or 3 fights in 2 years. So that wouldn't be a good time to wait. And there's not really a lot of things set up for January right now. Not a lot of fights. A lot of fights are getting pushed into November, especially October. Especially November though. November, October, it's maxed out. They're gonna be having fights coming from all directions. But in December, I think January is the most available right now. They should try to make those fights happen. That'll definitely be an excellent card. You're already going to Puerto Rico. You have enough fighters out there to where you don't have to take major risks taking these guys out there trying to pay them and everything else. And having Berlanga and Matias on the same card, yeah, it probably will cost you a little bit more, but I don't think Matias is going to be asking for a boatload of money or anything else. I think he'll be more focused on trying to redeem himself in front of the home crowd, get a win, get that fire back under him, get more comfortable. The division is wide open. Everybody has lost in the division, who basically had a belt, I think except Teofimo, who just acquired the belt from Josh Taylor, but he hasn't had great performances though. All the performances have been bad. So me personally, I would like to see Teofimo fight Matias right now. I think Matias would give him a hard fight right now, possibly win the fight. But that's not something that a lot of fans are really leaning towards right now just because, I don't know, they don't want certain guys to even be talked about with certain other guys because that was a fight I was talking about last year that could have happened. But a lot of people thought that the Puerto situation wasn't as good and they were okay with that. Like I was saying back then, though, that was a tough fight. Got to get a man credit. He took a tough fighter. He took a tough fight. Just wasn't his night. But that's what boxing about. A lot of guys, but he contributed to one of the best fights I seen last year, though. That was definitely still one of the best fights I seen. And Matias almost stopped him. Even though I was going for Puerto, he almost stopped him. And he would be dangerous in a rematch. But if he can put himself in position to where he can get some fights going right now, that'll definitely have him in the driver's seat at 140. Not a lot of people making noise at 140 right now at this time since Matias has lost. And then we have Pitbull lost recently, so everything's wide open. All Matias got to do is just jump back in the mix. Then you got Berlanga. He's good. He's going to have everything going for him after the Canelo fight. His confidence. He's going to look like a better fighter. He learned a lot in that fight. He's going to have more confidence in himself. I think you're going to see him be a lot more active on the offensive tip. And his defense was decent in that fight against Canelo. It was decent. But a lot of things got to happen the right way. But I think under LeBron is very good. He's going to be able to make some noise in that 135 position. But he has to have a couple of more fights. I think he's at 130, unless he moved up to 135 recently. But he's going to have a lot of fights where it's going to be at a high level. He got to have high-level fights because that weight class, 130, 135 he's around, he has to have more fights under him. You can't go into certain fights fighting once a year or having long layoffs because that's a dangerous division. A lot of those guys are in tip-top shape. They train year-round, and that's just something you don't want to do. But with Nestor Bravo, I think he's a very good fighter, very underrated, and he's a threat. Whatever opponent you find for him will be good because I feel like he's in a good position right now to thrive and do a lot of good things, but got to make them happen at the same time. But that's all I got. Like and subscribe.